We got our first look at the new Assassin's Creed named Valhalla just a few hours ago, and for starters, it seems a lot of people aren't too happy. Now, I want to start by saying Ubisoft never marketed this as anything but a gameplay trailer, a trailer comprised of clips from the game itself, which is what we got. They made it clear that this was a first look, a teaser gameplay trailer, similar to every single gameplay trailer we've seen from Assassin's Creed since its inception. There's a demo, of course, coming later this year. I can understand wanting to see more, I would definitely want to see more myself, and not being happy with the gameplay trailer, but to suggest this wasn't a gameplay trailer is honestly baffling to me. All of that aside though, let's talk about the trailer itself, because there are some bits and pieces to break down and give my thoughts on. So why not put my AC YouTuber hat on and delve into the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla trailer. First up, we get a clip of Eivor's face. I explained this on stream, but the way games work is that you have different level of polygon models for characters. So when you have a close-up, you can use the higher poly count one, and as you zoom out, you reduce it to the lower poly count models, so you don't always have a million polygons on screen that you can't see or don't need. But this close-up looks fantastic. If this is how close we're getting to characters' faces in cutscenes, then this is immediately a step up from Odyssey. Moving forward, we see what is very similar to a medieval Norse church, just throwing up here up on screen. You can probably see the similarities. The fidelity in the trees looks fucking marvelous, and even though we probably won't have this depth of field in game, it looks really, really nice, and it seems that trees just have a lot of detail going on. Of course, you got the northern lights there in the sky looking fantastic, and I'm sure it'll make for some wonderful screenshots in photo mode. Next is inside of the building itself. I really love the warmth you get here. You've got the food on the table, the fires roaring, the atmospheric smoke, and the dense nature of this interior. It has life to it, very much more than we got in Odyssey and even in Origins, and I love that. The people on top of this wooden beam, just the fact that this building's inside has so much character to it, brings this world to life. We then get a shot of our boy Eivor with his hidden blade. Now, it's clear to see that he hasn't made the ring finger sacrifice, and if you've listened to mine and Tyler's breakdown on the most recent episode of the As Always podcast, you'll hear us talk about the fact that, for one, Eivor wears his hidden blade on top of his wrist because he's a Viking and he wants to show off his weapons and armor, but also he probably didn't want to commit to the blade's sacrifice, and at this point in time, the blade was designed to ensure the commitment of whoever wields it. So that could be a major plot point, that Eivor at first wants the weapon but not the commitment that comes with it, and so he wears it on top of his wrist. But later down the line, he decides to join the assassins potentially and then does make that sacrifice. Just some food for thought. Next up, we get some nice landscape shots, essentially conveying this journey from Norway to England. We have the water physics looking beautiful, the scenery is marvelous. Looks like we've really got an upgrade to both lighting and shading in this game, and it's going to be a blast exploring this world. This shot, however, is the one I wanted to discuss. A little bit of speculation in here too. I love, for one, the depth of this shot, the mountains in the distance, the trees in the midground, and then this monument here in the foreground. Incredibly stunning render distance. I mean, it was always good in the case of something like Origins. Standing on top of the pyramids, looking out and seeing this sprawling desert was beautiful, and it looks like they're really stepping things up here with England. We already know about fishing and hunting playing major roles in terms of building up your settlement and whatnot, so I expect this environment to have lots of interaction, from perhaps fishing on the river to the left, or heading down into the forest to hunt for resources for your camp, or maybe to upgrade your gear. But I do hope there's more to it than that. Now, imagine this, for example. Heading into the woods to find a woodcutter's cabin. Maybe talking to him, he tells you about what he does here and that he's lost his family recently. You say you'll investigate, but only if he can help supply wood to your settlement. Maybe when you find his family, they've been mauled by a bear and they're dead, and you avenge them, but with nothing to live for, maybe Eivor asks the woodcutter to come live in his settlement, and that way you have a constant source of wood, and you've also helped someone that then becomes part of your camp and settlement and has their own little story. This is all, of course, speculation, but those are the kinds of things I'd love to find. Stories with depth, and stories that assist you in building up your settlement, meaning these forests and fields aren't just empty space, but spaces with stories just waiting to be told. We then get another lovely shot showing castles and towns with the morning fog covering the land. Again, it looks really nice, and it's going to be fun to go off into this world and see exactly what we can find. We get some more pretty shots of the environment, Stonehenge, which I'm confident is an Isu site, and then we move on to what looks to be footage of a siege, seeing fire that looks far better than what we got in Odyssey, more akin to Origins, however, maybe we've got a bit of an upgrade there. Faces also look a lot more detailed than Odyssey, maybe slightly upped from Origins, but pretty in keeping. Remember, this is a cross-gen game, and so it'll be coming out on both Xbox One and Series X, as well as, of course, the PS4 and PS5, so don't be expecting too much of a crazy graphical upgrade as something like a AC Unity, because this has got to run on both of these consoles, both generations, so it's a little bit more of an Assassin's Creed 4 type deal. But it's clear to see the Series X footage looks a lot nicer. Very similar to when you look at the Black Flag footage on the Xbox One and on the Xbox 360. It had to run on both and it does look similar, but it looks a lot better on the Xbox One. Pretty clear that these battles will be large set-piece events, with raids being events you can trigger manually along the shore, and assaults being more story-based and probably progression-based, similar to gang fights in Syndicate if I have to compare it to anything. I imagine they'll have stages, like you've got the assault on the fort itself, followed by engaging the enemy inside the walls once you burst through, and then you've got to take out the commander or the captain in order to win the fort. And of course, all of these assaults have different contexts, but this trailer gives us a look at what we can expect from the atmosphere. Bows are returning, if that wasn't clear from the screenshots, and I'd assume this is one of Eivor's finishing moves, or perhaps a takedown. Very brutal and very visceral. We then get this incredible shot, as Eivor standing as it appears a village burns. Potentially his village, potentially one he's raided, but it does look very somber. Part of me is thinking this is his village burned before he flees to England, and there's a major narrative reason behind that, but of course, I could be very wrong. The other reason I think this is because the next shot is the same shot we opened with, Eivor with tears in his eyes watching this village burn. Perhaps by his own hand, knowing he'd never return, or perhaps it was attacked and that plays into the move to England. Regardless, I think the somber nature of the scene is pretty clear. Then, after the title card, which I really like by the way, we get to see Eivor and his Raven companion. There's some really high textures here. It's very high quality character model for the Raven. I still think it's absolutely ridiculous that, you know, you had Bayek who had an eagle, and then you had an eagle bearing Misthios, and now you've got someone that's just got a bloody Raven mate, and somehow they can all do it, and there's not really an explanation for it, and it's a bit weird. They always said before they'd never continue things over if it was gimmicky, like having the hook blade in AC4 just for the gimmick of having it. It's like, they use a thing once because it fits the setting and because it works, and then they don't reuse it, but they've been doing it with this bird mechanic, and I get it works gameplay-wise, but honestly at this point I just prefer regular old Eagle Vision. We then end the trailer with the game coming holiday 2020, so no release date just yet. And I just wanted to sit down and talk a little bit about my thoughts as well. A lot of people aren't happy with this trailer, and I completely understand wanting to see more. What I don't understand, however, is expecting raw gameplay footage in terms of, you know, seeing the HUD on screen, player perspective, and you're just playing through the game. I don't understand why people would think that, because if you look at every single Assassin's Creed gameplay trailer, not gameplay demo, but gameplay trailer, over the past 12 years, they're all of this same nature, you know? Cinematic shots of the environment, the character pulling off moves with a cool cinematic camera angle. It's obviously all in-game footage. It's not pre-rendered, it's not CG. If you think that, I'm not sure what to tell you, because it's just not the case. This is obviously all in-game, in-engine footage that is happening in the game, but they've captured it with a free camera. Obviously, I completely understand people wanting to see more of the actual action, people wanting to see how does Eivor run, what does the climbing look like, what does the combat actually look like, obviously from more of a free camered point of view and a gameplay trailer perspective, and a lot of this is more of what would be, I guess, a Horizon trailer, not the game Horizon, but with Unity and Syndicate they released Horizon trailers, which was basically showing off the environment. It's a bit more like that. There's a bit of narrative conveyed in what they're showing, like the move from Norway to England, and we get to see the difference in these environments, so I completely understand what they're doing. They haven't shown a great deal, but then again, Ash did say this is a teaser trailer. They probably should have told us that beforehand. They probably should have said, this is a teaser trailer, but I think the marketing got a bit mixed up. Xbox has said, you know, I mean, the Xbox event as a whole wasn't that great, but the Xbox has said, you know, getting to see the first look at gameplay, we're showing off gameplay for the Series X, and really, we didn't get any gameplay at all. What we did get is a handful of gameplay trailers, but they never made that very clear. I think Ash made it very clear what we'd be getting, and my expectations were that we get something similar to what we got. You know, it's not the best trailer in the world, not at all, but I did like it very much, and I did like seeing, you know, these environments. I like seeing what the game looked like, you know, the places we'd be visiting in more than just, you know, a CGI sense, which is what we got originally, which doesn't represent the game at all. Whereas this, you know, what we got here is the game itself. This is what the game's going to look like when you're walking through the game. This is exactly what it's going to look like and be like. And, you know, the animations that we see are animations that are in the game. They're not pre-rendered beforehand. Those are animations that are going to be in the game, whether it's, you know, characters moving, or whether it's, you know, a takedown animation, or Avry throwing his axe. Those are things we're going to actually get to see in the game and perform those moves. It's just taken from a free camera perspective. So it's very strange to me, the fact that people are really unhappy with this. And you're completely fine to be unhappy with this. That makes, you know, that's your opinion, and that's cool. I'm unhappy with a lot of things, you know, that's how it be. But it's very strange to me that people are trying to say that this is a CGI trailer and a lot of it's CG clips, because it's not. It's all in game, and that's pretty clear to see for anyone that, you know, has played more than 2 video games. So I don't really understand where that's coming from. It's the same as, you know, tons of gameplay trailers we've seen, and I'm sure while I'm talking I've popped them up on screen so you can see previous gameplay trailers. And I think the only difference really is this focus is more on environment, whereas previous trailers have focused a lot more on character and the action aspects. There's also no dialogue in the background. It's all sort of music setting the tone and everything. It is much more of a teaser trailer, and Ash made it very clear it was a teaser trailer, but Xbox and Ubisoft did not do that. Therefore, I can understand people being disappointed that this isn't, you know, what you'd expect from a regular Assassin's Creed gameplay trailer, in which we get a voiceover, you know, we'd get, you know, maybe little bits of story here and there, not a great deal, mostly focusing on gameplay, but you get to see, like, oh, here's Bayek climbing, or here's Ezio doing a kill animation, that sort of thing, whereas this focuses a lot more on the world as a whole, things you can do in the world and what it looks like, rather than the actual, what gameplay looks like. And I never expected to see a demo and to see gameplay from player perspective, but I did expect to see maybe a bit more action going on there. I expect to see Avry doing some more things and maybe get to see some more kill moves and stuff like that. But, you know, this is a teaser trailer, and that makes sense as a teaser trailer, but they should have marketed it like that, and it probably should say that in the title. But then again, I mean, who cares at the end of the day? This is going to get a shit ton of dislikes, and then when the gameplay demo comes around, it'll sell fucking 1 million pre-orders or whatever. So it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, does it? And we'll get to see the game in all due time. I can sit here and wait. I don't really care. I think a lot of people are probably, you know, itching to see the game in action, and I understand that, because I was there at one point back in the day with the old Assassin's Creed games, of course. I understand, but I can wait. You know, if it's a month and we get a Ubisoft event in June, we get a full gameplay demo, we get to actually see the game in action, cool, that'd be great. I can't wait to see that, but I can wait. I've got plenty of stuff to be working on, plenty of games to be excited for, and it'll be cool to see the game in action eventually when we do down the line. With that said, that wraps up this video. Thank you so much for joining me for this little piece. There's not a lot to obviously go over, but I did go over what I could. If I've missed anything crucial, let me know in the comments down below and get some conversations going. I'd love to see what everybody has to say. I'm working very hard on my Witcher video, and it'll be out hopefully when I need it to be out on the 19th of May, but I'm not making any promises, as this is a big project and I want to get it right. So if it ends up having to be delayed, then it ends up having to be delayed, but I'm going to do my best and I'm going to work hard. So hopefully we'll get that out on. If you haven't already subscribed, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like the video, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys soon for that Witcher video, as I don't think there's going to be anything else major before then, so fingers crossed. I'm going to work hard, and we're going to see. Alright, thanks for joining me, thanks for watching, I'll see you later, boys. Bye-bye.